If you've already watched Train to Busan, then this movie will definitely let you experience that same tense and thrilling atmosphere once again. Now, let me tell you the story all at once. It all begins in a school laboratory. The girl sees a mouse in lab. Just as she reaches out to tease it, she accidentally gets her finger bitten. The mouse, with blood and guts exposed, suddenly becomes violent and frenzied. At that moment, the science teacher returns to the lab. Seeing him in front of her, she was about to leave when he pulled her back to the laboratory. It was not until the next day that the head teacher called the roll. She learned from her classmates that the girl had cleaned the classroom yesterday and went to the laboratory. Soon, the head teacher came up to him, but Lee Byung-chan said he had never seen her. At this time, there was a sudden noise in the room, but he said it was the mice used in the experiment that were making trouble. After the head teacher left, Lee Byung-chan hurried back into the room and saw that it was having a reaction after being bitten. He quickly took out a serum and injected it, but it could only slow down the infection. While he went off to teach his class, her face twisted into a terrifying expression and her body began to convulse uncontrollably. She soon broke free from the ropes binding her, struggled for a moment, and collapsed to the floor. But before long, she appeared at the classroom door, shocking everyone with her appearance. After taking just a few steps, she collapsed to the ground again. After the homeroom teacher understood the situation, she quickly had someone take her to the infirmary. However, she struggled violently on the bed and even scratched Namonjo's wrist. The doctor realized something was wrong and immediately gave her a sedative. The homeroom teacher also called emergency services right away, and she was taken away by ambulance. Afterwards, Lee Byung-chan was called to the office. Upon learning that she had been sent to the hospital, he immediately became anxious. He knew this was a viral infection and that she needed to be quarantined as soon as possible. If it spread, the consequences would be unimaginable. But the principal didn't take it seriously, thinking Lee Byung-chan was being alarmist. All he cared about was the upcoming school evaluation, so he didn't want to make a fuss. However, the homeroom teacher called the police, and Lee Byung-chan was quickly taken into custody. Little did they know, a crisis was already unfolding. The doctor, who returned after sending her away, suddenly felt a sharp pain in her arm. Rolling up her sleeve, she saw the bite mark on her hand had started to turn black. It turned out she had accidentally been bitten while giving an injection. At the time, she hadn't paid much attention to it, never expecting it would become so serious. Realizing something was wrong, she tried to go out and seek help, but blood started pouring from her nose. Her eyes began to turn white, and then her whole body started convulsing uncontrollably. At that moment, two students happened to walk past the infirmary and saw the doctor staggering unsteadily. The two even wanted to record a video to post on their social media, but by then, the doctor had already turned into a zombie. Hearing the commotion, she turned around and then lunged out the door, baring her teeth and claws, before collapsing to the ground. The two students didn't think much of it and continued recording with their phones. Suddenly, the doctor quickly got up and pounced on one of the students. Witnessing this scene, the other student thought it was just a playful hug until he saw a chunk of flesh bitten off his friend. Only then did he realize how serious the situation was. He hurried forward and pulled the doctor away, but unexpectedly became the next target. The students were terrified and ran for their lives, while the bitten student collapsed to the ground. Soon, there was no more movement, but after a while, he came back to life, mutated into a zombie, and rushed into the classroom, biting students who hadn't escaped in time. The virus spread rapidly across campus as it was transmitted person to person. Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, Anju had just been rejected after confessing to her senior, leaving her dejected. Lee Chong-san, who secretly liked her, could only try to comfort him. At this moment, they had no idea the virus had already broken out. Just as she was heading to the door, a large crowd of people suddenly appeared, leaving him completely bewildered. Then students began scrambling to squeeze into the cafeteria, creating utter chaos in just a few seconds. The entrance was tightly blocked, and those who had rushed in were hiding everywhere. Meanwhile, the frenzied pounding from outside quickly caused the glass to give way under the impact and start to shatter. People outside surged in like a tidal wave, and even Nam Anju was knocked to the ground by the crowd. When the crowd finally dispersed, they saw that their classmates had turned into zombies and were attacking. It was only at this moment that the students inside finally realized what was happening, but by then, it was too late for them to escape. The cafeteria instantly descended into chaos. Very soon, the zombies set their sights on Anju, who had fallen to the ground, and immediately lunged at him like mad. She was so terrified that he couldn't even stand up, and just as he was about to be killed by the zombies, Chong-san arrived in the nick of time and pulled the zombies away. Although he managed to save her, the cafeteria had already become a living hell, with students turning into zombies every second. Fortunately, he kept his cool in the crisis, leading her to dodge the zombies again and again. In the end, the two of them managed to squeeze out through a window, but the situation outside was no better. The students were running around in a panic like headless chickens. Just as the two were at a loss, an out-of-control truck came barreling toward them, and the scattered steel pipes knocked down a group of zombies. Chong-san seized the opportunity to pull Anju onto the truck, and after working together, they made their way up to the second floor. After finally climbing in through a window, they discovered that there were even more zombies inside than outside. As soon as they reached the corridor, they were blocked by zombies. With no other choice, they could only keep running for their lives. At that moment, a large group of zombies also came from upstairs, forcing them to retreat. Before Anju could even catch her breath, a zombie suddenly lunged at her. Fortunately, the guy reacted in time and once again saved her from the zombie's jaws, but he himself was pinned to the ground by the zombie. At this critical moment, Anju immediately grabbed a nearby fire extinguisher and sprayed it at the zombie, allowing Chong-san to narrowly escape danger. At that moment, the entire corridor was shrouded in dust, and the two of them took the opportunity to run out. They found a priest with several other survivors, and, after a close call, managed to hide inside. All of these survivors were old acquaintances. While they were observing the situation outside, a hand suddenly appeared. It turned out to be their classmate. He had actually climbed up using a ladder, and right behind him was the class monitor, Namare. At this moment, the main group of characters was finally reunited. But this place was only temporarily safe. Everyone knew that danger could strike at any time. Just then, someone found a cell phone, so Chong-san dialed the emergency number. He explained to the operator that there were zombies at the school, but such an absurd claim was taken as a prank. The operator brushed him off with a few perfunctory words before hanging up. Just as everyone was at a loss for what to do, Anju called the fire department, where her father worked. She lied, claiming that there was a serious fire on campus. Upon receiving the report, the firefighters immediately set out. But after waiting for a long time, the group still saw no sign of rescue. When Anju tried calling the fire department again, she found that she could no longer get through. Unable to bear the situation any longer, Na Yang approached Namare, feeling that as class monitor, she should do something. She even suggested that Namare go out to seek help, but under the current circumstances, going outside would be certain death. This nearly led to a physical altercation among them, but fortunately, the others managed to stop it in time. A man suddenly slipped inside. It turned out to be their PE teacher. Jingshu immediately asked about his condition, and the PE teacher assured them that he hadn't been infected. He then instructed everyone to use desks and chairs to block the doors and windows. While everyone was busily working, someone noticed a bite mark on the PE teacher's hand. The classroom instantly fell silent, and the atmosphere grew tense. Some of them wanted to throw him out, but the PE teacher stubbornly refused to admit anything. He even tried to step forward and lecture them about respecting their teachers. But then his nose suddenly started to bleed. In no time, he collapsed to the ground and began convulsing. The PE teacher turned into a zombie and lunged at a female student nearby. In a panic, Dae-soo immediately rushed forward, pulled him away, and forcefully threw him aside. But that bit of damage was hardly enough to stop him. The PE teacher got up again and continued attacking the others. Suyeok immediately fought back. Jingshan also grabbed a nearby desk and pinned the zombie against the wall. With his and Jingshu's teamwork, they managed to firmly restrain the PE teacher, but the female student was still bitten. Knowing she would soon turn into a zombie, she tried to leave the classroom while she was still lucid, but Na-yeon mistook her intentions and thought she was trying to bite her, so she kicked her to the ground. In just a few seconds, the female student also turned into a zombie. As she launched her attack, Dae-soo quickly moved in and restrained her. Seeing that it was no longer safe here, Suyeok took the opportunity to open the classroom door. He then instructed everyone to leave first while he stayed behind to cover their retreat. At this point, the hallway was still relatively safe, but the commotion quickly attracted zombies. The person running in front was so frightened that they collapsed to the ground, and zombies from upstairs also rushed down. At this critical moment, Suyeok stepped forward bravely. There were simply too many zombies, and two fists could never defeat 40 enemies. Soon, they were struggling in a tough battle. Seeing this, Chongsun quickly took down a window and rushed to rescue Suyeok. The others also laughed and then joined in to fight the zombies. At this critical moment, Dae-soo directly removed the classroom door and rushed to the front just in time to block the way. With everyone working together, the zombies were quickly pushed back to the stairs. The others took the opportunity to run upstairs, while a few of them struggled to push the zombies down. However, the zombies followed them up as well, but upstairs wasn't safe either. They were quickly caught in a brutal attack from both sides as more and more zombies appeared. Anjo grabbed a nearby fire hydrant and started smashing it against the classroom door. Just as everyone was about to give up, she managed to open the door. Seeing hope, the group suddenly found a burst of strength and quickly rushed into the classroom. After everyone got inside, she realized that her phone had fallen in the hallway. Just when they thought they were safe, the zombies actually pressed against the glass until it shattered, nearly crawling inside. The group hurriedly dragged over some desks, barely managing to block the window. Afterwards, Anjo realized that Sue hadn't made it inside, and her mood instantly plummeted. Seeing this, her best friend went over to comfort him. She noticed that her friend's hand had turned ice cold, and soon, signs of mutation began to appear. Unable to accept the reality, she immediately ran to the mirror. By then, her eyes were already bloodshot, and her vision was starting to blur. Seeing her best friend get infected, Anjo could only hold her in his arms. As the mutation was about to happen, Chongsun quickly stepped forward and pulled Anjo away. What followed was a violent convulsion, accompanied by the cracking sound of bones. Her friend soon turned into a zombie and immediately lunged at the two of them. Chongsun shoved her away, and just as she grabbed a stool to fight back, Anjo shouted for her to stop. The shout also caused the zombie to shift its attention. Fortunately, the guy managed to knock her out the window just in time. But to their surprise, Anjo held on to her tightly, her mind filled with memories of the two of them. No matter how much Chongsun tried to persuade her, she refused to let go. He had no choice but to grab the stool beside her and hit him repeatedly. Watching her best friend fall like that, Anjo didn't know whether to feel grateful or resentful toward Changsan's actions. But right now, the most important thing was to get out of there, because the broken window would soon be breached by zombies. If they kept wasting time like this, it would only lead to certain death. So Changsan stuck his head out and pulled the fire hose from the corridor inside, then marked stepping points at intervals along the way for safety. Jing-Su decided to go down first to check the situation, but almost all the classrooms were filled with zombies. Just as they were nearing the end of the fire hose, they discovered the homeroom teacher in the broadcast room, who called out to Jing-Su and told the others to come down quickly. They all hurriedly climbed down along the fire hose one after another, but Anjo was still lost in grief, and Changsan didn't leave either. Anjo pulled herself together and started to climb down as well. However, now that no one was holding the doors and windows, it was clear they wouldn't last much longer. Just as Anjo reached safety, the classroom doors and windows were smashed open, and the zombies burst in. Meanwhile, Soyak was actually trapped in the art room. It turned out that while fending off zombies to cover everyone's escape, he was tripped by a zombie and fell to the ground. After breaking free, he hid in the art room, but it was also packed with zombies. He could only hide beside a table. Although he moved quickly, a pencil still made a noise, and soon the zombies charged at him. In this critical moment, he had no choice but to climb out the window to hide, only to see Changsan hanging outside the window, entangled with a zombie. Seeing that he was struggling to break free, Suyak was just about to go help when blood dripped down onto his head. In a moment of desperation, he decisively jumped over and grabbed the fire escape bag, but the fire hydrant was about to give way as well. He quickly slid down along Changsan's body and then kicked the zombie off. In the end, the two of them made it to the broadcast room without further incident. But Nayeon started to go crazy again, and Jing-Shu stepped forward to argue with her. This wasn't the first time the two had clashed, but fortunately, the homeroom teacher immediately stepped in to mediate. In the face of disaster, what is more frightening than zombies is the human heart. Because of his righteous outspokenness, Jing-Shu was about to face a tragic fate. Suddenly, a fire sprinkler shattered the window, startling everyone. Seeing this, Changsan went to the window to check, and suddenly a zombie fell down. Seeing that the zombie was about to climb in, he immediately grabbed a mop from the corner. He tried to push the zombie down, but it actually put him at a disadvantage. Not only did the zombie cling on tightly, it even tried to use the mop to climb inside. Jing-Shu quickly rushed over to help and was almost bitten by the zombie. Even though Qishan broke the mop, the zombie still wouldn't fall. Looking at the sharp wooden stick left in his hand, he directly snatched the stick and stabbed it hard at the zombie, but it didn't work. Seeing this, Jing-Su grabbed a nearby computer and smashed it at the zombie, finally resolving the crisis. At this moment, Jing-Shu had a nosebleed, but it was actually caused by an accidental injury just now. However, Nayeon insisted that Jing-Shu had been infected and urged everyone to throw him out. He then pointed to the wound on Jing-Shu's hand, but after everyone checked, it was confirmed that it wasn't a bite mark. If Jing-Shu hadn't acted just now, how would the zombie have fallen? But Nayeon wouldn't let it go and kept trying to convince everyone to believe him. Everyone knew about the conflict between the two, and at this point, the homeroom teacher made a suggestion to let Jing-Shu isolate himself in the recording studio for 10 minutes. If it turned out he really wasn't infected, Nayeon would have to apologize to him. But Jing-Shu said he would stay inside for a full hour before coming out. After Jing-Shu went in, Nayeon felt especially wronged, thinking that no one believed her. This gave her a malicious idea. While everyone was distracted, she took a handkerchief out of her pocket, used a stick to get it stained with zombie blood, and then, putting on a friendly face, went to find Jing-Shu, even pretending to kindly grab his injured hand. She used the handkerchief to help Jing-Shu wipe his wound. Jing-Shu thought the other person was trying to make peace. Once her goal was achieved, she immediately changed her attitude. Meanwhile, those outside thought the two had reconciled and were just about to celebrate when Jing-Shu suddenly ran out. After learning what had happened, everyone started blaming Nayeon, but she acted as if she didn't care at all. In her heart, she just wanted Jing-Shu to reveal the truth so everyone would know she wasn't at fault and that she was the one who saved everyone. Soon, Nayeon got her wish. Jing-Shu was successfully infected, and his influence gradually faded. Although everyone felt sorry for him, fear kept them from getting close. Only Changsan wanted to step forward and comfort him, but Jing-Shu knew he was about to turn into a monster and worried he might lose control and hurt his best friend. He hurriedly retreated to a corner. Seeing this, Nayeon quickly told Jing-Shu to get out. At that moment, everyone was in tears. The homeroom teacher told him to return to the recording studio, and in order not to hurt anyone, Jing-Shu struggled to control his body as he walked away. However, under the influence of the virus, Jing-Shu soon began to hallucinate, hearing everyone mocking him. Because Jing-Shu came from a very poor family, he had always felt deeply inferior. He was very afraid of losing these hard-won friends. Then Jing-Shu began to convulse and completely turned into a zombie, lunging at everyone. But faced with their former good friend, no one could bring themselves to hurt him. Just as Jing-Shu attacked again, a whistle sounded. Changsan was whistling the tune most familiar to the two of them. The sound successfully caught Jing-Shu's attention, and he immediately lunged toward Changsan. Jing Shu's departure plunged everyone into grief except for Na Yang, who secretly took pleasure in the situation. At that moment, Nam Ra found her. It turned out she had witnessed everything but didn't know what Na Yang was up to, so he hadn't intervened, never expecting such a tragedy to occur. Realizing she'd been exposed, Na Yang came clean and confronted them, asking what made him inferior to Jing Shu, why everyone always spoke up for Jing Shu, and even believed that Jing Shu was just living in a different way. These words infuriated Changsan, who erupted in anger. He rushed forward and shoved Na Yang hard to the ground. Seeing the looks of disdain from everyone around him, Na Yang realized she could no longer stay there. She then opened the door and walked outside, breaking down in tears in the hallway. The noise woke up the sleeping zombies, who began pouring out of the classrooms one after another. But Na Yang calmly walked toward the horde of zombies. Just as she was about to be attacked, the homeroom teacher ran after her, quickly pulling Na Yang upstairs to safety. Watching people around them leave one by one, everyone felt deeply saddened. The next day, they were awakened by the noise of a helicopter flying overhead and thought that the outside world hadn't fallen yet. They still had a chance to wait for the rescue team. But in order to find out what was happening outside, Changsan and Suyak decided to go to the administration office where the students' phones were kept. The two of them climbed over from the window, but when they arrived, they found the place full of zombies. Just as they were worrying about what to do, the zombies suddenly rushed out. Not wasting any time, they took the opportunity to climb into the administration office. But soon, they heard someone furiously smashing things, and as they got closer to check it out, it turned out to be a female student. She had been bullied by the school tyrant, GWNOM, for a long time, and was even forced to strip and have a video taken of her, which was then set to automatically upload to a platform. The girl wanted to destroy the phone before the video was published, but couldn't find GWNOM's phone, so she could only smash all of them. By this point, the girl had already been infected by the virus, and it was spreading rapidly. One of the phones was sent flying, landing right in front of the two. Changsan tried to step forward and take the phone, but was discovered by the girl. Thinking they were there to snatch the phone, she went mad and charged at Changsan. Fortunately, Suyak pulled him away just in time, but the noise also alerted the zombies outside the door. Just as the two were about to head back, Changsan realized that the phone he had grabbed was already smashed. Unwilling to give up, he decided to run back and get another one. He knew very well that the phone was a matter of life and death for everyone, but this also caused the two of them to be separated by the zombies. Changsan had no choice but to run towards the door, and seeing this, Suyak could only retrace his steps alone. Meanwhile, GWNOM was hiding in the principal's office. At that moment, the principal woke him up, wanting him to go outside and bring the car over. But GWNOM wasn't stupid, just not good at studying, so he refused without hesitation. Seeing his plan fall through, the principal immediately grabbed a knife from the desk to threaten him. But GWNOM easily subdued him with a quick move and then tied the principal up. Unexpectedly, Changsan burst in at that moment and happened to witness the scene. He pulled out his phone, intending to record GWNOM's crime and report him to the police. In response, GWNOM turned his anger toward Changsan. At that moment, the principal tried to take the opportunity to escape, but GWNOM turned around and killed him with a single stab, which terrified Changsan. In the past, GWNOM would at most bully his classmates, but now he even dared to kill the principal. Afraid that word would get out, he threatened Changsan to hand over his phone, but Changsan naturally refused. This completely enraged GWNOM, who now wanted to kill Changsan to silence him. Unexpectedly, although Changsan looked frail, he was actually very agile in a fight. In the end, he grabbed his phone and desperately ran outside. GWNOM immediately chased after him, and from that moment, the gears of fate for both of them began to turn. Along the way, there were quite a few zombies blocking their path. Seeing Changsan getting farther and farther away, GWNOM sprinted forward and threw his knife at him. Fortunately, only the handle hit him, not the blade. Their chase attracted a large horde of zombies, and in the chaos, Changsan ran into the library, which was already surrounded by zombies. He had no choice but to climb up a bookshelf to hide, but he was pushed down by a classmate who wanted to use him to attract the zombies. GWNOM, who was close behind, also followed. He used the same method to pull that classmate down. Seeing this, Changsan quickly ran off. The two then began a game of hide-and-seek in order to escape from the relentless horde of zombies. Changsan climbed up the bookshelf again, but this time, a zombie followed him up and lunged at him. Fortunately, the zombie was stopped by a chandelier, and GWNOM also climbed up onto the bookshelf. The two of them chased each other back and forth on top of the shelves. Although Changsan was very agile, GWNOM was even stronger, and he quickly fell behind. GWNOM managed to snatch the phone, but Changsan immediately slapped it away and caught it steadily with his other hand. Enraged, GWNOM grabbed him by the neck, ready to finish him off right there. Changsan gripped the phone tightly and smashed it hard into GWNOM's right eye, causing him so much pain that he let his guard down for a moment. Seizing the opportunity, Changsan pushed him off the bookshelf and into the zombies below, which instantly overwhelmed GWNOM. But even so, he still stared straight at Jing Shan, as if vowing to take revenge, even as a ghost. Thanks for watching and subscribe to Movie Girl for more amazing videos.